95.
Apps all around.
What's worth a click and download?
Stories. They're found now on probably every social media application that you could possibly think of. Yeah, pretty much. When we talk about Instagram, they have Insta stories. When we talk about Twitter, they also have fleets, which, I mean, they were put to rest, but still Twitter thought of introducing them. YouTube, they also have stories. Facebook has stories. Every social media app now has stories, and so did LinkedIn. However, LinkedIn basically followed the footsteps of Twitter, and they decided to put their LinkedIn stories to rest. They're actually shutting down this option by the end of September. And the reason behind it, I would assume it will be the same exact reason as why Twitter has decided to put them to rest. When Twitter, shut down fleets, they said that they had bigger plans for fleets to basically help connect people, to help them, communicate with one another, want to start conversations with each other. However, this was not what happened. People were annoyed by them. Not many people used them. And that's kind of the reason why they decided to go ahead and shut them down. So part of the reason for the shutdown of stories on LinkedIn, though, is that users just didn't want disappearing videos, especially on a professional work website. I'd like to think of Twitter of LinkedIn like how many others think of it. It's a website where you can kind of showcase a live version of your CV. You can post all of your accomplishments, reflect on your previous positions. If you have any vacancies, a lot of companies would post on the platform on it. So a lot of people didn't want whatever videos they were working on, whether it was to promote themselves or to promote their services, to disappear after 24 hours. So LinkedIn, what they had in mind is that they assumed people would want kind of an informal manner on the LinkedIn stories, something to break the ice with their employees or employers, etc. However, people didn't want that. People wanted somewhere and something to tell their story, somewhere that would be lasting, long lasting. So they decided to put stories to rest and just leave normal posts where people can go ahead and create lasting videos to tell their professional story in a personal way that would showcase both their personality yet their expertise at the same time. So like LinkedIn, we've seen Twitter kind of observe the way users respond to the feature of stories. And we've seen people kind of not really enjoy fleets on Twitter. I know Hani Balqis didn't. A lot of people were complaining that they would lag too much, that they were stuck. You had a lot of guidelines on what type of quality you can include on Twitter fleets. And that's kind of the same story with LinkedIn. So the two shutdowns could potentially signal kind of a pullback from the video products on certain social media companies. And I really like when companies kind of revise the features that they launch. Not every feature works on every platform. We all know it deep down, but some people like to try things out. So, stories were first created on Snapchat and they were a big hit. Instagram came, they introduced stories. They actually were a much bigger hit than what stories were on Snapchat. And the reason behind that is because Instagram is already a photo and video sharing platform. People love to share kind of picture perfect moments of their lives, a highlight reel. And Instagram, introducing stories, went with the same storyline. When YouTube introduced, YouTube stories, it was successful for some users, but in reality, how many of us kind of watch YouTube stories? Not that many. Same with Facebook. Facebook introducing stories kind of felt like just a copy of Instagram. WhatsApp stories, I know some people like to use those, especially the older generation, and they don't even call them stories. They call them status. You add it to your status and it becomes viewed as a story. Yeah, still, the only success we've seen with stories are Instagram stories. So let me know which type of stories do you enjoy the most? Do you watch Facebook stories? Do you like WhatsApp stories? And did you ever use LinkedIn stories? That's going to be an interesting one because I honestly can't think of many people who for the people I'm connected with on LinkedIn that posted LinkedIn stories. I feel like I can count them on one hand. Coming up on today's show, we still have lots to share with you as we discuss an Irish tech firm that is helping kids' voices be heard. We constantly talk about Alexa. We talk about Siri and how they can acknowledge who is speaking to them. When you say, "Hey Siri," Siri will know exactly that I'm Omnia or you are whatever your name is. But can they do the same? Can voice assistants do the same with kids? Keep Pulse 95 locked to find out more about him.
If you liked this episode of Future Talk, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.